Aaron broadcast. It's the Black Aaron podcast. It's the Black Aaron broadcast. Welcome to the Black Aaron broadcast. This is episode 26. I have sitting in front of me Shantih Haast, owner of Studio 770.
Studio 770.
Studio 770. And thank you for coming on the show today in your own studio.
Yeah. My home away from home. You look at it from the consumer's, I say artist point of view / consumers, because they buy the gear. I'm just saying in general.
In general.
Yeah, some of them are not this way, but there is a large amount of people that will buy the gear. They don't really know how to use it, and they learn. They self-taught, and to a degree, and but the musicianship, they don't focus on that, and the bands that they're recording, they just. I guess my point is that in the old days, when you couldn't just go out and get your own equipment, mobile studio, whatever, or home studio, walking into a studio, you were highly prepared.
Over prepared.
Oh yeah, you're prepared. You made every minute count. I mean, I'm not talking about there was also a lot of cocaine snorting that was going on, and a lot of that,
back in the 80s,
back in the
whatever,
80s, yes. But still, the talent that was walking in there was phenomenal. I mean, even the bands that were not known and things like that.
Yeah.
It was mostly record labels that were footing the bill.
Yeah.
But there was a certain level of musicianship that you had to have.
Yeah.
So the engineer's job was to capture those amazing performances, and you'd get chills at these performances. You know what I mean? They were that good. That rarely happens now, because people come in, they now expect the engineer to fix their bad performances
rather than get it right the first time.
Yeah, like with the auto, the
Melodyne.
And all that.
Didn't have no Melodyne
That's the
back
expectation.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play maybe I'll get a bar that is good, like the drummer or whatever, and then you copy and paste. You know what I mean? You do the fixing and
literally copy and paste.
Yeah, I mean, in the old days, the whole theory of fix it in the mix was considered bad engineering. You did not fix it in the mix.
Now
you did it. You got the mix pretty much live at the time you printed it.
Mm-hmm.
And the performances were, like I said, they give you chills. I rarely have that happen now, because they come in and the musicianship is just so poor.
Mm-hmm.
And then then you spend hours bringing it up to that level. But it's a total different mindset. You're working with amateurs primarily that, they want you to make them sound professional. Mm-hmm. Like they know what they're doing, what you can do.
Yes.
But from the producer engineer's standpoint, to be able to start with a high level of musicianship, and like I said, those performances that just give you chills right out of the gate, and starting at that point and then being able to create from there, you're not stumbling over poor musicianship. You're being able to really capture something amazing, and then go from there and develop something. It's just opens up so many more possibilities. Now, that's why I like working with jazz players, because they are usually, I still am able to, be involved in that kind of creative, on the spot, amazing musicianship with the jazz players, because to be able to work off each other and lock into these, rhythmic grooves so for me, that's what's fun about it. But then I got out of school, and I had a lot of friends from school that were working on some major films, and working on a lot of television, and there was at the time, this is like early 90s.
Yeah.
There were a lot of film composers that were very good, that were working for nothing, just to get their name out there,
Really?
To get credit.
film composers, like making the compositions for the movies.
So there was so basically, unless you had some kind of in or you worked your way up from nothing.
Nothing.
It was,
essentially.
Yeah, which was like basically any kind of career.
Yeah.
But for that one, there was such a large pool of people doing it for nothing that
it brought the price of labor down.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Flooded.
So it made it really tough to
really break through.
And actually make a living at that.
So
he came in to do an internship, I believe.
Yeah, I think I just they mentioned your studio in my class, and I just showed up.
Right, and helped us with getting our Studio B together, because we didn't. It was just an idea at that point, and we needed a scheduling program for our membership. Yeah, so you helped put that together. Yay! So without that we couldn't do it.
Yeah, so that definitely should have, that scheduling program that I guess initiated there. Yeah. That should have brought the stress level down a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it manageable. It wouldn't be without it.
Yeah, because I was just like, oh man, you're just answering the phones and just talking to people, because artists, they just have questions, and maybe they show up, maybe they don't.
Well, that's why, with Studio B, it's just they can go online and just schedule their sessions and not even
bother.
Yeah, no. And it works well, especially with the membership.
Yeah. Something I found interesting when I was going over your pre-interview questions is that you played the drums.
Yeah, I did when I was 9 years old. I got
9 years old.
A Ludwig. Yeah, it's 1966 Ludwig drum kit that we use in Studio A all the time for sessions.
I had no idea.
I've had it since '66. So.
Wow, you still have the drum set?
Yeah.
Is it the one in?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's the studio kit.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And I noticed some of the answers you had to artists that you listened to, because you said you used to listen to the drums on different rock music.
Well, I just play along with them.
And you just play along?
Yeah. So, pretty much self-taught.
So you learned from the greats. You learned from Led Zeppelin. You said Vanilla Fudge was one.
Yeah. And
James Gang.
Yeah.
That was the only person I wasn't that familiar with.
Oh, well, they had some pretty amazing drumming. So
really? Okay.
Google them.
I will Google them.
Yeah. The studio was near Malibu. So
okay.
we got Joni Mitchell and Teddy Pendergrass.
And wow.
And Joni Mitchell's producer would bring different people in, and Henry Mancini, his son actually came in and did his record there.
Oh wow!
And Andy Fraser, I don't know if you know that name.
Not off
in
the
those
top of my
days,
head.
he was from Free, the band Free.
Okay.
And Waddy Wachtel was a guitar player that played on a number of sessions. That was like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Three Dog Night would come in. They were kind of old at that time, but they would come in and record.
All the greats of that time.
Yeah. And Andy Johns, who is the Rolling Stones engineer, he would come in.
Oh, wow.
And the Bangles.
Oh, nice.
Worked with them for 6 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah. And, just,
How was that?
Actually, the vocalist, Susie, she was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just had a lot more experience than the others.
Okay.
And but we worked 6 weeks on their project, and it was fun. They were great to work with.
Nice.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for anyone coming into the music industry? And you said be present to all opportunities. There are so many each day we don't have, because we're expecting them to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So I just noticed you mentioned opportunities twice. So
yeah, you got to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's sort of I guess the theme of the my answers, but you think about the fact that you get sort of fixated on a certain outcome. It's like, okay, and you're looking for something to turn out a certain way, and if it decides to go left instead of right, you really get off track instead of just going with it.
You're like,
and then it's like, then it just doesn't work. You have to kind of go with it, and one thing leads into another. It's like, well, I didn't really plan on going this direction with this.
Yeah.
but that's where it led, and that's where it wanted to go. And sometimes forcing it to go where you had preconceived it to go just makes it, die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. And just kind of being able to be flexible enough to take it, get to go in the direction that the project wants to go in, or the artist wants to go in, or, and as far as having no tomorrow, I've had opportunities that, and maybe procrastination's the wrong word, because I've had opportunities where I wanted to move forward on something, and maybe the artist says, oh, well, we'll get to that, and people pass away. I've had, like, in the last, I'd say 5 years, 3 or 4 projects that were either just beginning or in the process of happening, and the artist passed away.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, and that's not necessarily, you can't have control over that.
No,
but my point is like, oh, well, someday I'll do that, or yeah, I could call this artist and kind of, motivate them to start their project and or maybe I'll do that. I'll wait till, next week.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes there's that opportunity that may not be there next week.
True.
I had one artist come in who was a legendary blues artist.
Okay.
And also a family friend.
Okay.
Known her for years. And actually I had written a song that she was going to record. She came in and she just like noodled on the piano and sang to it. It was like just amazing. And that's one example of, I had this kind of idea of how I wanted that song to go, and she took it in a bluesy direction that I just would not have conceived of, and it was so amazing. It's like, we have to record that. And she's like, oh, I'm waiting for her sax player. He was helping manage her.
Yes.
And waiting for him to come in off tour. He should be back in about a month, and then we'll get together, and then he'll be able to organize, the group and things like that, to bring a band and do it live.
Yeah.
And, a month went by, and then, I would occasionally kind of check in, but I didn't really, like, make it intentional to, like, we have to get this done by this date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, about 2 months after she was here, or maybe it was 3 months or so, she had a stroke.
Oh.
And she was never able to sing again. And it's like, I should have just thrown a microphone up and recorded her
just even
live at that moment.
Just even like a room mic to get it.
Just
like
anything. It's just like, that literally would have been her last recording.
That piece of beauty right there. Yeah.
And just to capture what she was doing, I can't even explain what she was doing. It was so phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was like, and it won't ever, no one will ever know what that was.
Jeez.
And it's just like, it's like that opportunity will never come again.
Wow.
And that's happened a number of times. And as you get older, and you work with older artists, and I mean, it's not always age too. People just, get in an accident, whatever.
Anything.
I'm just saying that an opportunity to think, oh, okay, well, I'll call that person next month and we'll kind of work out something. And that may not be an opportunity anymore if you don't grab it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and in hindsight, it's like, well, I could have put a group together, just to come in and like, let's just do a preliminary thing. Come in, do this. We'll just kind of lay down even some scratch tracks just to have it. And then we can do, something later. And, I'm thinking that probably, and I've done that before.
Yeah.
Just when I wanted to get an idea with someone down. Yeah.
Because then at least you have the idea the sound, you can hear it, rather than it just bounce it around in your head and it changes.
Mm-hmm. And that's just an example of,
that's
of
crazy.
What can happen if you don't jump on something right away.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Are you able to say what artist that was?
That was Linda Hopkins.
Linda Hopkins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Blues singer, legendary blues singer.
Wow.
Yeah. She was awesome. She was, and she passed away. I moved out here to LA, and like I said, 1978.
Yeah.
And then I started working in studios in 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what was that like?
It was great. It was all tape, 2-inch tape, and I had a great opportunity to start as an assistant engineer.
Okay.
In a studio that had like all the latest and greatest of everything, you know.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, Studer tape machines, and we actually had 2 of them that we locked up.
Yeah.
So we had 48 tracks in there, and it was just a great sounding room, and it was designed like impeccably, and the sound was amazing. A lot of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a tape operator.
Yeah.
So I was
tape operator back then.
Yeah.
So
I did all the alignment and all the tape, maneuvering.
Yeah.
I was like, part of the auto locator was me,
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like what I did. I was there for 5 years.
Oh,
no,
wow.
5 years.
So you definitely put in some serious time there.
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah, because I was there day and night.
Day and night. Were you doing a lot of the cutting and stuff then, or just
some of the editing? But some of the editing. I was doing, like I said, I was mainly, punching in this, that, and the other on the tape machine, running the tape machine, and then we would mix down to the ATR 2-track.
Yeah.
And so I operated that, and but we got I worked with a lot of great bands.
Oh yeah, like who?
Well, I was offered from David Benoit to engineer at his studio.
Okay.
He was out in Torrance, and he had a really wonderful studio.
Yeah.
And again, top-notch players, because he only played with the best. And so it's like, oh, I have an opportunity to step into that in the jazz realm,
Yes.
And it's like, well, I had come from the original studio I worked at, which was, like I said, top-notch players, but there was a lot of cocaine in those days, and a lot of drugs, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay. I really didn't want to get back into that, you know? And, picking people off the floor and things like that. It was like,
there's a lot more than the operator. You're just dragging people out, put them in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Call a taxi cab.
Yeah. So being offered to work with David, who was like, and all these like top-notch jazz players that are not that, they're totally clean, you know what I mean? And it's like, great.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah, so I've got the high level of musicianship and the quality of the studio and such, but without all that craziness. Yeah. So I went ahead and did that. I said, okay. And I hadn't engineered in a few years because I was in school.
Yeah.
Orchestrating and composing. So, but it was like riding a bike, as they say. Came back pretty quickly, and he was still working on tape. Okay. He still was working on 2-inch at the time. He didn't have Pro Tools or any digital.
So that was good for you.
Yeah, so I could just jump back in there and assisted for a little while, but jumped into just engineering some big sessions with a full orchestra, and which was really nice because he did a lot of film scoring as well himself. Yeah. Mostly for television or TV movies, that kind of thing. And so being able to be part of that was great.
Yeah, obviously.
And so I ended up, engineering there, and then moved into the position of first engineer. Once his engineer had left, eventually that studio to open his own in Hollywood. Anyway, so I moved into that position. Then I ended up managing the studio after a while, and I was like,
So you already managed the studio.
Yeah, so I'd done that. And then he closed the studio in 2000, and I basically ended up with all the equipment.
Really?
And opened this one.
They just didn't want it, or what? They were just
it was, I don't know, it's kind of a convoluted story. The people that bought it put it in their facility, but then they ended up not
wanting the storage and deal with it.
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with it. And it's like, here,
it wasn't
you
generating
deal with
income,
this and you can
so
have all of this. It's like, okay. So basically built them a studio because I installed studios as well along the way. So I installed theirs, and they had it for about a year or so. And then they're like, okay, we're not going to do this. I think they put it together for their kids or something that just, they were hoping would be into it, and they had the money to do it, and it's just like, okay, we're not going to do this. So so I ended up with all this gear, and it was
Lucky you.
Yeah, I know. So I built Studio 770.
From all that leftover...
From David Benoit's studio, basically.
Cool. That's a win for you.
I know. Great mic collection. And,
Wow. That's a pretty cool story. The birth through the ashes.
Still have his 2-inch machine.
Yeah.
Sitting over here. And we use it occasionally. It sounds great. Yeah, keep it all tuned up. So.
Wow. Yeah. That's a great story. I dig that.
There's that because I stepped into this and didn't really want to do the business part of it. Didn't have a partner though. And really to get to the point where it was generating what it should be generating financially, it took me years only because I really kind of pushed away the idea of wanting to, just like kind of take that on and master that part of it. Yeah. And until I did a few years ago and just said, okay, I'm in, again, opportunity. I have the opportunity of this business, and I'm sort of turning my back on the business aspects of it, just hoping that it'll kind of work itself out because I like doing the creative aspect and don't really like doing the other. But this is where I am, and it's like, okay, so it's like, okay, I have an opportunity here that's handed to me. I can either turn my back on it, or I can take advantage of it and go, okay, I can learn this. Yes. And it's like grab this, ball and run with it. Yes. And instead of dropping it like I was. Yeah. And that's when it really took off. It was like when I, basically stepped into being a business owner, if you will. And so you have to really do that, even if it's just your career. I mean, I'm saying not just your career, but not a facility of something. Because that's, that is, you're a business owner, even if you are if it is just you and your personal career, that's your business. Yeah. And you got to approach it that way. True. Because until you do, it's just gonna kind of float around, and you get lucky here, you get a lucky deal here, and not so lucky there. It's just like amorphous, and it just has no direction and focus. Yeah. You're gonna fail 10 times to 1 time that you're not. Yeah. And just know that that's part of it. And there's nothing like emotional about it. It's just kind of like, if you're riding a bike and you hit a bump and you fall over, I don't know, maybe some people would never get on the bike again. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Or you see those bucking broncos, right? Okay, that's a better example because that, that's part of the design of it that you're going to get thrown off.
It's guaranteed.
It's guaranteed. Yeah. Well, having a business, career, whatever, it's guaranteed you're going to fail lots more times than you're going to succeed. Yeah. But, you just keep getting back on that horse, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's part of the game. Yeah. Seeing how long you stay on before you get bucked off again.
Yeah, that's life, right? Just messing with you.
Yeah. But that's kind of the fun part because, if it wasn't, it'd be so boring, right? True. It'd be like, if you know what was around every turn and, all that, it'd be like kind of boring.
Human beings need excitement. They need to change it up.
Yeah, the unpredictability of it.
And spontaneity.
Yeah. That's what's so great about jazz, Yeah. Those players get out there, they don't know even what they're going to do.
You just got to record it.
You just got to hit record. And they just take off. It's like, wow, okay, that's cool, Yeah. And that's what's fun about it. Jeez. The spontaneity and But that's fun. Well, that's what I've learned now in the last few years of what's fun about business. Yeah. Same thing as what those jazz players are doing, is get the knowledge, get prepared to a degree. I mean, it could be like rocket science with it, but to a degree to where you can kind of go with it. And it's like, oh, where's it going to take me? Okay, I can go here, I can go there. Yeah. And then it starts being fun. So when that part starts being fun, then it starts being successful.
True.
Because then you start attracting other people that are like, oh, well, this looks like fun. Let's do this.
But they're going to fail.
They're going to fail, but don't give up. You just keep doing it. And that's, again, the longevity of it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you might fail 999 times.
Yeah.
And there'd be a lot of people that at that point would just like, okay, I give up. I'm just not good at this. Whatever. This is just not. It might be the 1,000th time.
Yes.
That you then like cross over into this whole other realm where you know what I mean?
Everything opens up. Yeah.
Everything opens up, and it's sticking with it through all those and learning from the failures.
Yeah, you have to learn from them.
Yeah, don't keep repeating them. You know what I mean?
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. That's called insanity. You're finding your way, and then if you just keep doing that, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, at a certain point, you're just going to be on that right path. You know what I mean? Process of elimination, right?
Yeah.
And it's sticking with it, not giving up.
Don't give up.
No.
Follow your dreams.
So if you've been doing this for 5 years and you haven't hit the big time yet, or whatever, if you're an artist or whatever, you know, just enjoy what you're learning from it and stick with it, because because if you have the intention of getting to a certain point, you know, whatever it is, you know, let's say you want to be, you know, a studio owner in 5 years, I don't know, and you have a bedroom studio. That's how I originally started in a bedroom, and I got the, you know, and then got the gear and blah, blah, blah. You just set that intention in it and just be patient, and you build up to it until an opportunity comes along where you can go with it, but it might take a few years, you know? Yeah. So just don't give up on that.
Don't give up, because it's guaranteed not to. Once you give up, you won't. You think it's hard now, and you might not make it. You stop.
Yeah, don't
guaranteed.
stop.
100%. I promise you won't make it.
Yeah, there's some people that jump around. They just like, okay, that didn't work. They try a whole nother field or something. They just end up jumping all around, and they don't stay with anything long enough for it really to develop into something. If you're still focused on your fixed outcome over here, and you've got 20 opportunities going, hey, over here, we can, you know, and you're ignoring that because no, I want this. That's what I'm saying. You got to be flexible and go with those. I'm not saying giving up. We're within the same realm of your dream, if you will.
Yeah. But
it might look a little bit differently, and you might get to this point through another avenue and back to it.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not always going to look like what you've necessarily, the final outcome may look that way, but your route to it is not always a direct route. It's like through these crazy, you know,
mazes,
yes.
caverns,
yes.
labyrinth of,
you know. So you might meet somebody that is like says, oh, okay, let's do this, and you know, with this vision still in mind, and it might be a little bit of a convoluted path to it, but you still have that dream, but the way to get there, don't fixate on that, because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know how you're going to get there.
No.
So it might look, when you look back at it, it's like, oh, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
I never thought it was going to be like that. You know, I mean, I always wanted to own a studio. I never thought I'd have, you know, all this gear dropped in my lap. It's like, you know,
you got blessed on that
I would
one.
never have thought of that, you know.
You couldn't have wished that.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your story with me and whoever ends up watching or listening to this, Shantih. I really appreciate you taking the time. Sure. I know you're always productive.
Yeah, right.
Not just busy. And I learned a lot, and I think other people that they listen to this and see this will learn a lot too. You know, you got to keep going. Yeah. You know, you never know what it's going to look like in the end. You know, the opportunities can kind of, you know, change and get you to the same place, or maybe even better, and you know, make the most of the time you have, because you don't know if you'll get that time again.
Yeah.
You know.
And just be excited about whatever's going on. if you're failing, it's like, wow, that's exciting. I know I can't go there anymore. I'll fall off that cliff again.
Yeah.
It's like, that's cool. You know, you got to be kind of excited about the learning process of all of it. You know,
yeah, that's awesome.
It makes it fun, and that makes you want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Shantih.
Okay.
That concludes this episode of the Black Aaron broadcast. Stay blessed, don't stress, and stay tuned. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
It's the Black Aaron broadcast. It's the Black Aaron podcast.